KUAM TV8, first on Guam. KUAM News headlines are presented by Calvo's Insurance, protecting Micronesia for 85 years. Matson and the Adahi Itano program. Apply at matson.com. Cars Plus, Guam's automotive leader in sustainability and electric vehicles. Learn more at carsplusguam.com. McDonald's of Guam, I'm loving it. And King's Restaurant, serving your local breakfast, lunch, and dinner favorites for over 45 years.
Ahead on KUAM News Primetime.
6 people are hurt, 1 seriously injured following a 3-car crash in Manilao Thursday. Police now investigating how it occurred. Plus, a proposal requiring all to have trash services. Why one senator thinks it's the right move to rid the island of illegal dumping. And more wet and windy weather expected for us. We get the latest from local meteorologists to help us plan our weekend ahead.
Hafida and good evening. Welcome to KUAM News Primetime. I'm Nick Delgado.
And I'm Destiny Cruz. Happy Fresco Friday. Thank you so much for making us a part of your day.
A 20-year-old woman is in critical condition following a serious car crash in Manilao. It happened just before 6 p.m. yesterday along Route 10 near Uncle Cho's March. The crash sent at least 5 others to local hospitals. Their injuries said to be non-life-threatening.
Traffic investigators found that the driver of a red Lexus headed south veered into the oncoming lane, colliding with a gray Toyota 4Runner headed north. The impact caused the SUV to collide with a red Mini Cooper before it overturned. Guam police continue to investigate the cause of the crash.
Prayers to all of them there in that recovery.
Yes, our prayers. Well, the chaotic scene caused during Thursday's Manilao crash also brought up during a Chamorro Land Trust Commission meeting overnight. Jeffrey Rios with the Guam International Raceway going before commissioners with concerns that motorsports enthusiasts may very well be taking to the streets with the Jigo Raceway shut down.
It's been 167 days that the track has been closed. And just on my phone as I'm sitting here, there's been another accident at Manila. I'm not saying that that's because of drag racing or anything like that, but you all know it's happening.
Especially with excessive speed causing an alarming amount of deadly crashes in recent months, a concerning pattern for Guam police. Rios emphasizing a need for a legal and safe track to race on, and he's asking for a 4-month-long memorandum of understanding to allow the racing community to at least
Have you gone by there? It is terrible. It's in such disarray. It needs so much work. And we're all going to do that. It's not like we're going to. It's right now. These guys are hungry just to get in there. They'll clean it up. 4 months, and the place will look like it did on June 1st, the day before we got evicted.
6 months since the island's only raceway park has been ordered to cease and desist. In other news, Guam police are searching for a 64-year-old William Robert Regis being sought in connection to a criminal sexual conduct investigation. Details of the case have not yet been made public.
Authorities say Regis is believed to be evading police and could possibly leave the island. He was last seen in the Baza Gardens area of Jotnya. He is also known to drive a silver Nissan Frontier King Cab pickup. Anyone with information on Regis's whereabouts is asked to call GPD detectives at 671-475-8540 or 8615. A bill to establish mandatory island-wide trash collection has been proposed.
Sponsor Senator Sabina Perez saying it's part of a long-standing effort to curtail illegal dumping. Nestor Lecanto reports.
Guam Solid Waste Authority General Manager Irv Slyke says everyone creates waste and needs a safe and sanitary way to dispose of it, and those costs should be spread equitably. Even so, he anticipates some resistance.
The most challenging aspect of mandatory collection is the stigma of forcing a program onto the non-participant. The non-participant will claim basically 3 things. They will claim that they do not produce that much trash, they cannot afford the projected fees, or that this is simply a government overreach and must be resisted.
But GSWA Chairman Andrew Gale says mandatory collection will benefit the island as a whole in more ways than one.
So the idea is we would try to dispel that piggybacking and spread the costs among the citizens of the entire community. And then it is also thought that this could help alleviate the problem of illegal dumping. I'm not saying eliminate, but definitely help remediate and reduce the issues of illegal dumping if every single eligible resident had a bin for their use that could be that they could use for municipal solid waste.
The measure also has the support of Guam EPA spokesman Nick Lee.
In addition to the household garbage collection, these additional subscribers will have the ability to avail of GSWA's curbside white goods and bulky waste disposal, which are items that we commonly see in illegal dumping investigations.
There's an estimated 18,000 households that are currently unsubscribed. Fred Harecki is with the PUC, which regulates trash collection fees.
Well, right now, you've got about half of the population paying for this service, but everyone on island benefiting from it. So from a rate perspective, it is ultimately fair to spread the costs equitably among the entire population.
Penalties are proposed for non-compliance, and the regulations would still need to be passed. Nestor Lecanto, KUAM News.
Now a deeper look into this week's education oversight hearing.
Parents of Guam Department of Education students with disabilities advocating for change and making emotional pleas for senators to help give children access to the education they deserve.
Parents testifying during a legislative oversight hearing with GDOE's Special Education Division, with many fed up with the difficulties that come with navigating an individualized education plan, or IEP system. Among them is Josephine Blas, a parent of an Inalahan Middle School student.
I often don't feel like the school tries to help you. It's a really confusing document, and they write it in such a way that when they talk to you, it seems to make sense, but when you read it, it's really hard. And this is the document that's supposed to take care of our child. It's supposed to help them progress.
That IEP is a legal document meant to ensure that a child with an identified disability is given specialized instruction, support, and services to help them thrive in school. But some GDOE parents like Blas say IEPs often fall to the wayside. The Inalahan Middle School parent not receiving a progress report on her son in a year. Guam DOE's data showing overdue IEPs in middle and high school are at 4.1% and 10.4% respectively. That data reflecting the reality of Paula Agostini's middle school daughter, whose IEP is years old.
My child is in 7th grade right now, and she has goals from elementary. They are long expired, they don't work anymore, clearly.
Her daughter's IEP requiring a daily log, but Agostini says after she filed a lawsuit against the GDOE superintendent and the Guam Education Board for allegedly violating the Adequate Education Act, communication between her and her child's school was suspended. Agostini and attorney Daniel Summerfleck now calling on lawmakers to take action.
So I think it's important for you as policymakers to put forward a policy that these services can't wait, that a 3-month window should be plenty of time to complete an IEP, and that's not even a gray area to me. How can you make a child wait for almost a year before they have goals and objectives that are individualized to them?
I really would like you to consider to pass a local law to limit the duration IEP to 3 months.
Now to the site of a new 40-acre state-of-the-art industrial park. The park set to open this weekend along Route 3 in Dededo, minutes away from Marine Corps Base Camp Blas and the Guam Regional Medical City. Developer and Representative Danny Daryanani and Drew Sadwani say the new Pacific Industrial Park is in response to the growing demand for industrial spaces on island.
This park, we've been working on it for the last 3 years. The great thing about it is since it's a gated community, we've already have the occupancy permit. As you know, constructing on Guam takes a lot of time, and so many people's concerns were infrastructure. So when this lot was purchased, we did all the infrastructure, subdividing, power, water, stub to each lot. So pretty much it's plug and play, ready to go.
I think that this is definitely needed for Guam, and it's going to be good for every business. The beauty about it also is we're offering seller financing. We're doing built-to-suit options as well. So so any business, small, medium, large, will cater to their needs. We'll work with them and help them grow their business as well.
The public is invited to a grand opening ceremony scheduled for Saturday at the site. It's located off Route 3 in Dededo, also referred to for many years as NCS Road. It's midway between the Guam Regional Medical City and Marine Corps Base Camp Blas.
Already got a pretty great view of it right there.
Yeah.
Amazing stuff. In addition to the Relay for Life this weekend, there are a bunch of other fun and inspiring events happening around the island.
That's right. That is true and right. I said it at the same time. That's right. That's a new one. But the conditions we're expecting could require you to bring extra gear when you're out and about. Here's Jason and Landon with the latest.
Workweek weather forecast. We always come to you on Mondays, and whenever Landon asks to go out of band, and he's a music guy, so I'm using that term very liberally. It's worth noting. So, Landon, I know you said there's nothing like severely threatening us right now, but regional activity could make this weekend, which, by the way, there is a lot of community activities going on. We got Relay for Life, we got the Japan Festival, we've got the high school championship football game, and those are just the ones I'm going to attend. So what do we got?
Yeah, definitely it's going to be the potential for a sloppy weekend. We've been watching this tropical disturbance in the Micronesia region for several days. There's been Invest Area 96W, 97W, now it's Invest Area 98W, and that's located near Chugan. I'm going to turn my camera around to show you what we're looking at. That's that new tropical disturbance that the JTWC was following as of yesterday. A low-level circulation center somewhere between Chuuk and Pohnpei. This is what the forecast models are really starting to pick up on, is the dominant low-level surface feature that's going to be coming up toward Guam this weekend. What does that mean for Guam? Well, the potential for showers, locally heavy rainfall, thunderstorms, and gusty winds. And I know it's going to be a very busy weekend coming up with a lot of activities going on, but yeah, we have to plan and prepare for this. And so is there a potential for a typhoon this weekend? Fortunately, that is not the case. We do not expect a typhoon to emerge from this disturbance. All the forecast model trends and tendencies have been steadily weakening this, at least as we come closer to time of passage, which is
but let's
news.
Be real, man. I mean, rain in a football game can be really, really cool. Rain at the Japan Festival, not so much.
That's exactly it. And so this disturbance is like right over here east of Chuuk, but these showers and thunderstorms exist across a very large area. So that's what we're really working on our communications for this weekend is.
Well, hopefully the sunny days are ahead after that, right?
I know, I really hope so.
Try. Time for a quick break, but keep it here.
You're watching KUAM, your leader in local news.
Half a day Fresco Fridays on KUAM News. Presented by Fresco Clothing, original custom design apparel of Guam and the Marianas. Located in Hagåtña, just across from the Gani Shopping Center.
Hi, folks. Robert Quigley here, America's Independent, Washington, D.C. We're on the road to the White House. Folks, the Quigley team is Team America. We are the centrist problem solvers. We work from facts, evidence, experience, and expertise. We help each other. We use the tools of government to cover your back. We lift all boats. We shall slay the tyranny of the law. We need you. Our road is rocky. Our climb is steep. Our goal is a land of neighbors. Folks, every dollar you donate makes you an owner in our new cooperative America, a shareholder, if you will. Go to my website, robertquigleyforpresident.com. Find the donor box button. Team America needs your spare change. Join our team, spread the word, and together we will make it work for all of us.
Paid for and approved by the Robert Quigley for President campaign.
New chicken nuggets from KFC?
Everybody's gonna want these. Let's eat these inside.
Try new Kentucky Fried Chicken Nuggets. You've never had nuggets like these.
Welcome back to Primetime. The Northern Marianas could establish a liaison office in Taiwan after the Palacios administration pivots to that market and away from China.
Regional correspondent Tomas Manglotnia sits down with the House Speaker Edmund Villagomez, who was a part of local delegation who recently visited Taipei.
NMI House Speaker Edmund Villagomez recently joined NMI Governor Arnold Palacios as part of a local delegation's visit to Taiwan to stir up interest in tourism and investment.
My purpose was to go there and support the governor and to also see, like the governor said, how we can strengthen and also expand our potential in terms of bringing in new visitors or bringing back visitors, because we did have an office in Taiwan once upon a time in NBA, and we did get visitors from Taiwan. Try to bring that back again, and also to look at other options as to help the government provide the services that it needs to provide in terms of utilities, infrastructure.
The week-long trip was funded by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of China, Taiwan. The delegation met with companies and government agencies. They also attended an international travel fair.
We have to build up the demand from the Taiwan market to come here if we're going to try to pitch, direct flights.
Villagomez said that it was suggested the NMI not only establish a tourism office, but a larger liaison office for its projects with the Taiwan government and companies.
They also recommended, like the other folks that we've met, that it's good to have a little office where, so we don't have to worry about calling this person and then following, like at least if anything, there's one middleman that can relay everything and tell us what we need to do to accommodate, if we can, the requests or what they're looking into when it comes to, or prepare for when they come to the CNMI to do business, to visit, etc.
Tomas Manglotnia, KUAM News, Saipan.
U.S. District Court for the NMI Chief Judge Ramona Villagomez Manglotnia appeared before the U.S. Senate Judiciary Committee in Washington, D.C. for her confirmation hearing to serve another 10-year term on the bench. Manglotnia was first nominated by President Barack Obama in 2009 and was renominated by President Joe Biden this year. Manglotnia is the first woman and Chamorro Chief Judge in the CNMI and previously served as the NMI Attorney General and Associate Judge in the NMI Superior Court. Delegate Gregorio Sablan introduced Judge Manglotnia to senators early this morning and endorsed her confirmation. During a one exchange in the hour-long hearing, Manglotnia shared a lighthearted moment with Republican South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham, indicating bipartisan support.
So you also have cases in Guam, is that right?
Yes, I sit by designation.
Is there anything the committee can do to make your job easier?
Confirm me?
Yeah, that's a good answer. I just assumed you had the job, so yeah, let me not jump over that part. Seemed to be well qualified. Everybody listening back in Saipan, she's doing good.
Manglotnia responded to questions about leading the court through recent super typhoons and the pandemic. She was also asked about her responsibilities as the sole federal judge in the CNMI, which includes the role of chief judge, magistrate judge, and bankruptcy judge. The 2023 Relay for Life is set to take place Saturday, November 18th at the University of Guam Calvo Fieldhouse in Manila from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. The island community rallying together to celebrate our cancer survivors, remember those we've lost, and raise money in the fight against cancer. This year's theme is Hope, and the day's festivities kick off at 1 in the afternoon with the Survivor Motorcade. Survivors are being asked to bring their family, friends, team, coworkers, and show their support as they make their trek to the field house.
A big thank you goes out to all the Relay for Life teams this year who worked so hard to raise funds to support the fight against cancer. Recently, the Guam Department of Labor made an over $3,000 donation to the American Cancer Society to raise awareness around cancer and cancer screening. And make sure to stop by the KUAM Care Forces booth. Now remember, the opening ceremony begins at 4 p.m. and we'll see you there. All right, let the celebration begin. The annual Wine Cellar sale is now underway.
Wine cellar.
Wine cellar,
Right.
but also a win. Oh my goodness, we're all over the place today. But it's underway today at all Payless Market locations.
Today we caught up with Island Beverage Distributors Marketing Director Kimberly Gogui to get a taste of the deals you can expect.
Our annual wine cellar sale is a little bit different this year with Payless. Rather than it being a one-day, 4-hour sale at like certain locations, it's at every location and it stays long. So you can come at your convenience with the amazing deals that we worked out with Payless. For example, this Kendall Jackson Figures Reserve Cabernet is usually $38, $37. It's on sale for $24. So that's better than the price I could get.
Good deal. Thanks. Something to be thankful for.
Yeah.
It was delicious.
It looked
She
amazing.
allowed me to pair some of the sparkling wine there with some salmon poke choice. So head over to Payless now. Some of the IBD products there, even more than half off.
Whoa, what a steal. And you can see more of the annual wine cellar sale on KUAM's Instagram page. It goes from now through Wednesday, November 22nd at all Payless locations. All right, guys, now for a look at your world at home. Here's a view captured on Saipan at the Garapan fishing base.
There it is. My dad went EV.
It's electric. Don't be shocked.
The guy who's eternally locked at his email is going EV. Ooh, nice car.
Actually, it's an Ev. Rhymes with Kev. Look, EVIP parking.
I get it. You think they don't charge fast enough or go far enough.
Up to 80% charge in 18 minutes. Range? Heck, we could go to Mexico.
Are you Kevin Bacon?
But EVs aren't going to stop being a thing. Look at the Ioniq 6.
Maca mushroom frap for Kevin.
So just make the leap already.
Okay, watch this. Blue or red? Blue light, red light. I can also make it play nature sounds if you want.
Let's just drive.
Introducing the all-electric Hyundai Ioniq 6 with up to 360-mile range. When it comes to EVs, we're thinking of every mile.
Calvo Select Care's comprehensive medical provider network offers our members choice and access to quality facilities locally in Asia, Hawaii, and the continental United States. We provide our members several wellness programs and healthy options to improve their overall health status. Calvo Select Care, healthcare that's always there for you. Federal employees and annuitants, enroll today.
Guam's auto appearance specialist, Elegant Reflections, has been providing the automotive industry with professional detailing and car care products at its highest quality, from complete detailing, full interior detailing, exterior detailing, headlamp restoration, hand washing, seat and carpet shampoo, engine degreasing, undercarriage cleaning, paint sealant, fabric protection, paint oxidation removal, and so much more. Visit us at our new location. Call 646-5555 for an appointment. Elegant Reflections, Guam's auto appearance specialist, over 20 years of experience.
Wow, that is really good.
Feed Me Fridays is brought to you by Devondale, real milk from free grazing cows.
Hot day, guys. We're back again at Cold Stone. We just couldn't get enough of their milkshakes. So come and follow me inside and let's see what we're gonna get today. Hi. Okay, so today, can I get one of your savory strawberries in your like-it size?
Happy day, guys. Welcome back to Cold Stone Creamery. My name is Charcy, and today we're going to be making our savory strawberry shake. Then we're going to grab our Devondale full cream milk. And then we're going to go ahead and grab our strawberry ice cream. And then we're going to go ahead and grab our strawberry fruits. And then back to the blender. And then this is our savory strawberry milkshake.
Alright guys, so we have our drink. This one is the savory strawberry milkshake with Cold Stone strawberry ice cream, real strawberries, and of course, our Devondale for milk, and topped off with whipped cream. Let's go ahead and give it a try. I've tried strawberry milkshakes before and it's usually very creamy and milky, but this one has a hint of tanginess in it. Tanginess, is that right? Hint of tanginess in it, and then followed by the creaminess of the Devondale. Really, really good. If you're a strawberry lover, this one's definitely for you. Okay guys, and that's it for today's edition of Feed Me Fridays. Just want to give a big thanks to our homies at Cold Stone for always taking such good care of us, and of course, Devondale for bringing you this segment. And we'll see you guys next week. Cheers!
Feed Me Fridays is brought to you by Devondale, real milk from free grazing cows.
Alright guys, it finally happened. I've been here at the company so long. I finally got my own microphone. This is nice. Thank you, Santa. And by Santa, I mean Nestor. That only took 25 years. Alright, coming up. What's not going to take 25 years is because this is happening this weekend. Check out the Guam Territorial Band's anniversary performance at the mall, 2 p.m. 47 years of music, and they are awesome, featuring Earth, Wind, and Fire and Journey. Speaking of 25 years ago, Maniello invites you to breakfast with Santa. Speaking of jolly old Saint Nick, stop by GCC because in the multipurpose auditorium on the 2nd from 8 until 10:30, you can be in your Christmas pajamas and you are going to want to hang out with the big guy himself. And the Art Bazaar is happening up in the cinema. You want to stop by if you are in the Marianas, because at the Cobleville Youth Center, you can look for local art and gifts for the holidays. Nick and Destiny, back to you. This is nice. Hello? Hello? Hello?
Now your Cold Stone Creamery Birthday Club shoutouts.
Happy birthday to all the celebrants. Here's the winner of a yummy ice cream cake.
Okay guys, no birthday shout out tonight, but you know what? Nothing wrong with that, because that just means that our Cold Stone Creamery Birthday Club winner tonight gets the entire episode to themselves. So congratulations and well done to Michael San Miguel Blas, who was born on the 14th. Michael, you know what? Keep an eye out on your DMs, because very, very shortly, we are going to let you know how you can head over to any Cold Stone Creamery and you can redeem your prize. And you know, it might rain a little bit this weekend, but that's a perfect time to stay in, hang out with some people. They're going to treat you well because it's your birthday, and you can share your ice cream cake with them. So happy birthday from all of us, once again, at KUAM and Cold Stone Creamery.
And a quick happy birthday note to CJ Blas. Happy birthday, CJ.
Happy birthday.
That's your primetime show. Thanks so much for watching. I think we're ready for the weekend.
Yes, we are.
I'm Nick Delgado.
And I'm Destiny Cruz. Have a safe weekend and stay beautiful.
KUAM News Hotspot is presented by Calvo Enterprises, Inc.
Howdy everyone, and welcome to The Hub. I'm Nestor Lecanto, and this week we're going to talk about the U.S. Department of Labor's new proposed regulations, and it's what could be some very significant impacts to Guam, and we've got a very great panel here of experts to talk all about it. We have down furthest to my left is attorney Mike Pangilinan, a partner in Calvo Jacob Pangilinan Law Firm. Sorry, Mike. We have Daphne Leon Guerrero, the People Director at AK, and of course Kate Gale, who is the Executive Director of the Guam Employers Council. Thanks for joining us to talk about this very important topic. Let me start with you, Mike, kind of set the table for us. What exactly is it that the U.S. DOL is proposing with regard to wages on Guam and in the other parts of the United States?
So the law that most people are familiar with that governs the employment relationship, and the reason why most people are familiar with this law is because almost everyone works, or they have a business where they have employees. And it's the law called the Fair Labor Standards Act, and that is the law that requires that employers pay minimum wage and that they pay overtime to employees that work overtime more than 40 hours in a work week. But there is a part of the law that also allows you to pay salaried exempt employees. And salaried exempt employees are paid according to certain standards and requirements for determining whether they can be considered salaried exempt. And one of those requirements is that they have to be paid over a certain amount of a salary level. And so the proposed rule by the U.S. Department of Labor is to increase that minimum salary level to a higher level. And there is a certain salary level that's applicable to Guam and the territories, and that right now is $23,660. That's the minimum that you can pay a salaried employee. You have to pay at least that amount in order for them to be considered salaried exempt from overtime. The U.S. Department of Labor has a different standard throughout the rest of the country, the states and the District of Columbia. It's at $35,000 that you have to pay for the minimum salary, but they're looking to increase it. So they've announced on September 8th a proposed rule to increase the salary level to $55,068 is a minimum that you have to pay for a salaried exempt employee. So that's a huge increase across the country, but especially for Guam, that's more than double of what the current salary level is. So that's what's on the table. We just finished a 60-day public comment period where the U.S. Department of Labor collects comments from the public. A lot of comments were submitted, and the rule now is under consideration by the Department of Labor, and if they decide to enact and issue the final rule, it'll probably be issued sometime next year. There's no time frame on when that would be, but we're expecting at some point next year for them to announce that they're going to issue a final rule, and then we'll be probably in a period of time where there may be legal challenges. So it's unclear as to when it's going to actually be implemented, but that's what's under consideration.
Yeah. And I should mention that all of you are members of SHRM, the Society for Human Resources Management, so you have a very keen interest in this. In particular, let me ask you, Daphne and Kate, to comment on the implications of this on local businesses. And Guam, of course, is predominantly small business. So
Right.
let me start with you, Daphne.
Definitely. And so what the SHRM Guam chapter did is we surveyed our membership. And of those members surveyed, almost half of them belong to really small businesses, so with 100 employees or less. And then the estimated impact of making these changes, if they were to move everyone who is under that threshold of $55,068 to that threshold, would be about $100,000 to $500,000 on an annual basis for these employers. Now imagine, as a small business, an additional operational expense of $100,000 to $500,000 for your workforce. That's not small change. So it can be very impactful, especially to those small businesses on island, to navigate these changes if they were to be enacted.
And Kate?
Yeah, same. It's just such an unprecedented increase, actually, for the whole U.S. and the history in terms of the DOL and implementing increases in minimum wage. And again, for Guam and for the other territories, because the other territories are in the same boat that Guam is in, it's over 130% increase. So there's, I mean, the premise of increases in the minimum wage is absolutely, appropriate for economies every so often. But to more than double for an area, and particularly our environment where it is predominantly smaller businesses and nonprofits are also, they are going to be hit very hard by this if it carries through in its current state. And so what our concern is, there was two big concerns is, of course, the amount, but the methodology that was used by the U.S. Department of Labor. It said that it was being very inclusive by going and using the lowest salary area in the U.S. And they stated that was the South. But in fact, in the same document, in the proposal itself, it said it had no data for the territories. So in fact, it's not including, all of the United States. If we talk, we're part of the United States as a territory in its methodology. It's just including the continental U.S. And the fact is Guam and the territories have a lower salary average just because of our economies and the way we're set up. And that the DOL said itself in the document, it's not including the territories as part of its basically research and preparation, and that it would, welcome any input, but it's saying all of this after the fact of putting. So that's our big concern is we want to be included in the methodology and something that might be more appropriate and supportive of our particular needs here as an island economy, really moved by the smaller businesses on islands.
Yeah, and in that discussion of the methodology, one size does not fit all. I mean, Guam is, we could argue has some very unique circumstances,
Yeah, and that's the reason why the territories have, up until this point, been treated separately. The territories are located in, especially Guam, and we're geographically remote. As Kate mentioned, their salary range in Guam is lower and wages generally are lower than in the mainland. And so there's a special salary level that has been adopted and has been in place for 20 years for that reason. And so the fact that, and we understand that US DOL's rationale is they want there to be a national standard that's across the board, everyone can follow without having separate salary levels for different regions. And that's the goal. And we understand that, they like the idea of having something standardized that can apply across the country. And there may be some people that feel, well, it's not fair. Why should employees be shortchanged, in Guam just because they live in a territory means that they don't have the same protections that they have in the mainland. And I understand that point of view, but you still have to think about the fairness to the businesses. And if you're going to increase something so drastically, and what we're talking about is the minimum salary for an executive, manager, exempt salary level employee. You don't have to pay them overtime. Okay, maybe $23,660 right now, that's the level. That is kind of low, for a salaried level employee. Somebody salaried exempt that you don't have to pay overtime, that is kind of low. We understand that, and that's the position that we took as SHRM when we submitted our public comment. We said, okay, we recognize that may need a bump. It's about time for that, but not 133% increase. It's just unreasonable, and it's hard to imagine why anyone would think that that's reasonable to do to the territories. Bumping it up incrementally is something that we would be in favor of because we think that's fair and we think that's appropriate. Given what executives and salaried exempt employees, the range that they get paid.
Yeah, just to add some clarity, maybe Daffy can give us a real life example of what the implication would be if it were.
Sure. So we did the analysis for Atkins Grohl basically, and of our total workforce, about 7% of our employees are exempt. And of those exempt employees, 37% of them fall under that threshold. And so when we did the analysis, in order to raise all of the individuals that are under that threshold to the minimum, it would cost the company about $375,000 on an annual basis. Now, as a larger company, that may not be it's still impactful, but it may not be as impactful as if it were a smaller business, maybe with 100 employees or less. I think the important thing to remember, though, is I think when people hear about this law or the proposal, they think, oh, I have to raise all of my employees to that standard if they fall under an exemption, but that's not necessarily the case. We can opt to, and I think most employers are deploying the strategy where they may raise some to that minimum, depending on the job that they do, to keep them exempt from overtime, but they may transition others from exempt to non-exempt. So then now this set of employees who were formerly exempt will now be eligible for overtime. So that is a strategy that most businesses, I think, are going to adopt, which will increase their overtime expenses potentially. But it doesn't, the ruling doesn't force us to raise everyone to that minimum. It just says in order for you to qualify to put this employee as exempt, you have to pay them at minimum $55,068.
And Kate, something's got to give, right? I mean, if you're going to have to pay more over here, something maybe fewer employees hired, or what
yeah, and that's exactly the concern, because with such an unprecedented increase, companies and employers are working with budgets. And the simple fact is, when you're going to have increased payroll costs of anywhere up to, for some, even we've had some reported like $1 million. Yeah. But for our smaller business, it's between 100 and 500,000. That's still a significant amount, and it has to come from somewhere. So a likelihood is that there will be some adjustments in payroll in general, meaning perhaps some delayed of promotions, or perhaps some delay in hiring, or even perhaps some adjustments in the overall workforce size, meaning potentially some layoffs. And so it's just throwing this incredibly huge increase onto the backs of particularly small employers, which is what the majority of Guam is. It may have a reverse detrimental course in the sense that there's going to be money pulled from elsewhere, because it simply has to be. How else are you going to come up with such a significant amount potentially for some employers?
All right, we got to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll dig more deeper into, and I'll ask you about from the employee's perspective, okay? We'll be right back. Don't go away.
Honey, do you want some milk?
Do you ever wonder how your favorite products make their way into your local stores? Most arrive on state-of-the-art Matson vessels that transport containers of food, household items, equipment, and supplies into the islands every week. Because we know that you depend on us, we work closely with our partners to ensure that our shipments arrive on time, all the time, so you can find your favorite products when you need them. We transport the region's most precious cargo that supports successful businesses and promotes a better quality of life for our families. Matson is proud to have been the hometown shipping carrier for Guam, the CNMI, and Micronesia for the past 25 years, and you can count on us to be here for generations to come.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Attorney Mike Pangilinan, Daphne Leon Guerrero, and Kate Gale, all of SHRM, and we're talking about proposed changes by the U.S. Department of Labor that will affect wages and salaried employees. And before we took the break, we were talking about all the implications for the businesses. But as for employees, they might be thinking, hey, this is a good thing. Why is this not good for me? Mike, you want to start us off? What are your thoughts on how would you respond to an employee who said, "Hey, I'm salaried. I'm only making $23,000. Maybe I should get paid overtime."
Well, I think that's definitely something that I think an employee may look at this potential rule change and think, well, this may be a benefit to me because my boss is probably going to want to bump me up because in order to keep me salaried exempt, because I do. If you're an employee that does management level, executive level functions, they're going to want the salaried exempt flexibility. Salaried employees don't have to clock in and clock out. They don't have to really account for their time. They like that flexibility. And somebody who is making below that 55,000 threshold, they may expect to be bumped up. But if they're making way below that 55,000 threshold, then they may be converted to to an hourly employee that's eligible for overtime. And I think a lot of employees, this is really kind of more of an issue for Kate and Daphne to talk about, but I think a lot of employees might not be happy about that. You know, that when you're a salaried exempt employee, you're part of the executive team, and now you're going to be converted to an employee that has to punch a time clock.
Yeah.
You know, that may be a little bit demoralizing, and then that also means that you're accountable. You're a lot more accountable. You have to be reporting to your boss a lot more about what you're doing and where you're doing it, and it's just a huge additional adjustment that you have to make in the workplace that I think is going to be potentially stressful. So it may not necessarily be such a positive thing for a lot of employees that may be subject to this.
Yeah. Daphne and Kate, anecdotally, what do you think? Have you talked to employees, or have they expressed any of their thoughts?
Actually, a lot of our employers are thinking that it is going to be an impact to morale for their employees. And I think it's all about perception, right? But what we have to remember is the natural state of the employee is non-exempt. So what the FLSA says is that all employees are considered non-exempt unless proven otherwise. And there are 2 tests that we have to pass in order to qualify for that exemption so that we don't pay overtime. In my personal opinion, I do feel that it is more beneficial for an employee to receive overtime, because we have, and this would be especially impactful to like middle managers or frontline managers who work a tremendous amount of hours but may not be making, they may make the $23,660 or something, a little above that, which it's very difficult to make a living at that level and not receive any overtime. So I think it would be very beneficial to those managers, and yeah, it's just may take some kind of an impact to employee morale for that exemption.
Yeah. So I mean, of course, from the employer perspective, financial is going to be a huge factor, but along with that is the morale for all these points that Mike and Daphne have been making, particularly around individuals that have been traditionally salaried. And there's a sense there is this flexibility because you're not being paid for the net hours that you're working, but for what you're giving, what you're producing for the company. And as we've all said here, we feel that yes, a change is going to come through without question in 2024 in terms of an increase of this minimum. It's just a question of the amount for the island. So there is a lot of preparation that can be done on the employer side to help with this, both financially but also the morale side. And one that we've been encouraging as a way of kind of a transition potentially is for that, like Daphne was saying, that middle management, your new manager or your first time supervisor or whatever, maybe you'll actually have a new category where you have your hourly paid and then perhaps a salaried with overtime and then a salaried. And that salaried with overtime would still just have an element of that flexibility, and they would be getting a salary, but anything that went over the 40 hours per week. And the thing that's actually going to do, that might create a new dynamic in the workplace, both for the employee and the employer, where suddenly you have a group of people that are really looking at how many hours am I working here, and do I need to be doing that, right, if they're going over 40 hours, and now that we're looking at the overtime, maybe finding more innovative ways to do work to maintain the 40 hours. I mean, we saw so much innovation during COVID about how people were able to accomplish so much in a certain amount of time just because of all the various restrictions and limitations that we had. So, we say sometimes there's always, silver linings, maybe opportunities, but I think what this will find is we are going to have businesses really looking at their productivity and how to really get the most out of what resources they have, considering the fact that this, we're going to have an increase of some sort. There's going to be this financial implication, and how best to structure my business to my employees to handle that.
Yeah, and Dav, are companies, are you recommending that companies already start socializing this with their employees?
I don't necessarily know that they need to socialize it to their employees, but we need to prepare. This is our time to be proactive, right? Do an analysis, see how much of your workforce is impacted, and then also revisit our systems, right? Are our job descriptions really reflective of the jobs that people do, because the job description is what helps us determine if a person is exempt or non-exempt. So this is the time to prepare, I believe. Because we don't have a hard deadline on when these changes are going to be enacted, I think right now employers just need to take a more proactive approach. And then once we have all of those detailed finalized, a timeline solidified, then we can start the communication.
Okay, on that note, we need to take one more break, but when we come back, we'll talk about what SHRM is and employers in general are hoping for is an extension of time so that you can provide more input, okay? We'll be back with more of The Hub right after this.
While you've been waiting to see if EVs are a thing, my dad went electric.
Up to 360 miles on a single charge.
And if my dad's on board, yours could be next.
You know, I'm doing this for the next generation.
Dad, we are not having the grandkids conversation again.
No, I'm just saying EVs are good for any generation. Or all generations. Generationally good.
Introducing the all-electric Hyundai Ioniq 6 with up to 360-mile range. When it comes to EVs, we're thinking of every mile.
Stay on top of breaking news and the biggest stories of the day with NBC News Daily. Get in-depth reporting from across the country and around the world. Tips to take care of your health and your wallet. And up-to-the-minute local news. NBC News Daily. Weekdays on NBC.
And we're back with The Hub, Attorney Mike Pangilinan, Daphne Leon Guerrero, and Kate Gale of SHRM. When we're talking, of course, about the USDOL's proposal to change some of the labor rules. Let me ask you guys, what is it that you're seeking at this point? I know the deadline has passed for input, but you're seeking an extension, Mike?
So we submitted a comment during the public comment period, the 60-day comment period. And that's required by law. Whenever there's a rule change, you have to go through this process. But 60 days is the minimum public comment period. And we think that a rule that's going to affect, especially the territories with this magnitude, 133% increase, deserves more time. We deserve more time to prepare and gather data. Because part of what we're trying to submit to the Department of Labor to let them understand why it's so impactful to us is, you know, the businesses are smaller and the wages here are a little bit lower, and it has an impact on the territories, especially Guam, more so than it does in the States. But in order to make that case, you have to gather information. We had to put together a quick survey of our members at SHRM in order to have some data to report, but that's not enough. We need more time, and we think it's reasonable to extend. There's no reason to really have only the 60-day minimum. It should be longer. So that was part of what we had asked for in our public comment. In addition to, as I mentioned earlier, phasing in the increase for the territories. Don't make it so dramatic and abrupt and sudden. Make it incremental. So that's what we had asked for, and we're hoping that we get a favorable result. Most likely, they're not going to extend the comment period. So we're not, we're sort of accepting the fact that probably what we've submitted is going to be our only opportunity to comment. But we're crossing our fingers that they may give us some more time.
Yeah, Daphne, you want to add to that?
No, agreed. And it's not that we are against an increase. We're just against such a large increase. And we fully expect that the ruling will be challenged and that it may delay the implementation of the proposal. But yeah, we can anticipate that we are going to receive an increase. It just shouldn't be as large.
Yeah. Well, when you say you anticipate, there is an increase, but maybe not as large, what kind of increase are we talking about?
Well, currently, I believe the salary threshold in the rest of the United States is $35,568, if I'm not mistaken. And so an increase to that level, I think, would be adequate for Guam to meet where the rest of the United States is at right now. And then maybe build up over the years to get to that $55,068. But giving our employers 60 to 90 days to comply, that I think is unreasonable, especially for such a large jump in the minimum salary threshold.
Yeah, Kate, your thoughts?
Yeah, and we as well with the Employers Council, we submitted our comments that aligned with both SHRM and with GHRA, who also submitted. And again, that key concern is in the prior time, so this has happened before, and at that time, USDOL actually sent out representatives to understand all of the territories, get the data, get the feedback before preparing the proposal. This time around, nothing at all in terms of reaching out or including any type of data or research on the territory. So that's a key concern, and that's why we've asked for this extension to gather. If the DOL can't produce that data or find that, we will gather the data and present it. Because again, it's supposed to be inclusive and representative of the United States, but it's not. So we've asked for that, and we're going to work with that. But having said all that, again, it is not a done deal. We're in the proposal process. DOL will go through the comments, they'll come back. Because of that, employers do not need to make changes right now. And in fact, we caution because with the last go around of this, some employers jumped the gun when it was still in the proposal process, made a bunch of changes, and then nothing happened. So we're still working through. Definitely you prepare, you understand what the implications might be for your business, and then wait as it works through its process. But Biden administration has signaled this is something that it's focused on, that in terms of the labor. With the election coming up, I personally, just reading all the signals, it's something they might try to ram through before election, just in case someone else gets in and it falls by the wayside. So I think we're definitely looking at action in 2024, maybe sooner than later, but definitely in 2024. So having that preparation, being prepared. And for our side, we'll keep working, to get that inclusion of the data so that there's something that might be more representative. They did make a little tweak for American Samoa. So all the territories were put in this, but for American Samoa, they gave them a little bit of a gradation of moving into it. So they've given it to American Samoa. Let's look at the other territories as well and include that. Yeah,
interesting. Politically, you're saying it might be a hot issue come next year?
Yeah, I think, Biden has made, certain labor aspects his focus, and we've seen that with the push on the union support and things. And this, I think, is along with that package. And all the signaling, it appears he wants, maybe perhaps even his legacy, some part of his action. And so with our election year coming up, I think there might be a little bit more action from labor. Before, it's like 8 to 10 months before they get going on things. I think we might see a little bit of a shortened period. Just because of the circumstances and the particular administration.
Sure, and Guam Department of Labor has a direct line to U.S. Department of Labor. Have you guys been talking with Dave Delasola about this issue?
We always communicate, and they're fully aware of all the issues. I don't know if they've taken a specific position this time around. This rule has been changed and proposed to be changed in the past. I think they were more active in the prior rule changes than they have been this time. But I know that they're aware of the issues. I just want to kind of just add something to what Kate and Daphne have said, in that, when you mentioned the politics of it, right? The last time something this drastic was attempted was under the Obama administration in 2016. They tried to do a rule like this, even a little bit more drastic than this, on the increase at that time, and it ended up getting challenged in court, and it ended up getting struck down, so that it never went into effect. And that's kind of what Kate is talking about. Employers jump the gun, and then nothing happens. So even if the Department of Labor rushes this through, and they don't, and even like January they issue a final rule, it's likely to be challenged. And if it is challenged, it takes a while to get through a legal challenge. Even if it isn't ultimately struck down, it's going to be delayed quite a bit, and that, you really never know once there's a legal challenge whether the rule will take effect or not. So I think it's just important to not panic and not jump the gun, but also not get too stressed out about it. Just take this time to kind of review your staffing, review your compliance, and just make sure that you're in compliance. That's kind of I think the recommendation at this point.
Okay, on that note, that's a good way to end this because we're out of time. Thank you so much. Attorney Mike Pangilinan and Daphne Leon Guerrero, Kate Gale. I'm Nestor Liconda. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you again next week on The Hub.